portion is called shoftim, plural for shavat. It means to judge, to govern, to rule, to execute judgment. Let's look at this in regard to the gates of the temple, our temple. Amen. 6 things to govern your temple you find in Deuteronomy 16, 18 through 22. The first thing, the Lord says, do not distort right rulings. We must be cautious in judgment. What passes for truth often are hollow opinions, the sages say. True judgment should be according to the Torah, according to Yah's word. And the truth is, when it comes to judgment, before you're even able to judge, true judgment is done when you judge what? Yourself. Because before we can go out and begin to judge the world like Yahweh wants to use us, we have to first be able to judge the issues that are in our hearts. Do you remember today? I always love it in the testimony when we get going, how God begins to speak through the praise report. I'm just sitting back there and I just start taking notes, and it's phenomenal. One of the things we heard was about dealing with the Yetzer Hara and the Yetzer Hatov, the good and the evil that is in who? Us. So the true judgment that we're trying to deal with is what's going on in the midst of us. So when you see somebody that you got issues with and you see that issue like, that seems to irk you, perhaps Yahweh's trying to show you something that's going on inside of you before you start pointing the finger at them. Because we all get caught up in how righteous and self-righteous we are and forget, if it wasn't for the grace of Yahweh, we will be in the same place that person's in. In Ezekiel 44, 23 to 24, it says, they, his priests, shall teach the people the difference between what? The holy and the common, and show them how to distinguish between the unclean and the clean. In a dispute, they shall act as judges, and they shall judge it according to my judgments. They shall keep my laws and my statutes and all my appointed feasts, and they shall keep my Sabbath holy. Interesting, Yahweh put all of this in there about you're going to be a judge and you're supposed to teach the people the difference between that which is holy, that which is common. But he didn't leave out, oh, by the way, you can't judge anybody if you're not keeping all of the feast of the Lord. See, it's one thing for us to want to say we can go out and judge people and not keep Yahweh's word. Those games aren't working anymore. Yahweh's holding all of us accountable for, he said, for much is given, much will be required. So before you go out and judge, make sure that you're keeping exactly what Yahweh's word says, so that you don't end up causing and find out in your own self that you're not following Yahweh's ways. Number 2, the second thing, he says, do not show partiality. James 2, 8 through 9. If you really fulfill the royal law according to the scriptures, you shall love your neighbor as what? You are doing well. But if you show partiality, you are committing sin and are convicted by the law as a transgressor. So what is showing partiality? Have there been people that, you know how we're getting these cliques in the congregation? There are people I like, and then there are people I don't like. And all of a sudden, because I like the person, I'm going to bring them next to me. But the one I don't like, I'm going to all of a sudden say, why don't you go sit back there? Of course, we will never do that, right? But if we check ourselves, we'll find out different. Number 3, the thing he said, don't take a bribe. For a bribe blinds the eyes of the wise and twists the words of the righteous. The word bribe in Hebrew is the word shechah. It means gifts, reward, a debt, and will always pervert the word of Yahweh by causing partial or full blindness. We can't serve 2 masters. Exodus 23:8. Now, what is a bribe? So a bribe is if I come to you and I say, man, you did a great job today. Or a bribe is if I come in and I decided, I just want to sow this seed into your life, but, I know you saw something that I did. Let's just keep that under the carpet between us. And we might say that will never happen in the congregation of Yahweh, but can I tell you it's happening all over the world? Can I tell you it's happening even in our own life? Can I tell you that when someone comes up and says, man, you did a great job today, Rabbi, man, you're just so awesome. The first thing I do, I stop back and I go, okay, what does this person want? Because the truth of the matter, it's not about what we did. It's about what Yahweh did through us. It's the only way this happens. Because, see, it's not in men's intellect. It's not in men's, about us. It's about Yahweh. If it's not about his kingdom, then we're building our own thing. and we're missing the call. The fourth thing, he says, follow righteousness. Righteousness alone, so that you will live and inherit the land which Yahweh your Elohim is giving you. The root word for follow is ra'af, and it's the Strong's H7291 and carries the meaning to pursue, to chase, to follow closely after, to aim to, secure, to run after. So he says, follow after righteousness. Follow after righteousness. Romans 10:5, from Moshe says, he writes about the righteousness which is of the Torah, the teaching and instruction. The man who does this shall live by them. Shall live by what? The teaching and instructions. We should all be pursuing to be just and lawful. The Hebrew word zadik for righteous. His righteousness, so that we would be judges in the earth. So the Yahweh tells us, follow after righteousness. Let righteousness be your goal. Let it always be before you. So when someone comes up and you need to judge a matter, judge it righteously. Don't let there be any partiality between, because you might like this person or so, but let it be done in correct order that would honor the king. 1 John 3:7 says, little children, let no one deceive you. Whoever practices righteousness is righteous, and he, as he is righteous. So the question is, are we practicing righteousness? Are we judging correctly the nations? Are we judging correctly when we deal with people in our life? Number 5, he says, do not plant for yourself any tree as an Asherah near the altar of Yahweh your Elohim that you make for yourself. Now ask yourself, where's the altar of Yahweh today? Come on, where's the altar of Yahweh? Everybody put your hands on your heart. This is the altar of Yahweh. So what is the Asherah? The Asherah was paganism. It has to do with fertility. It has to do with the world's way. So Yahweh said, don't put it near your house. So don't go to the world to try to get fertile. Don't go to the world to learn the world's ways, to bring it into this place that Yahweh calls sacred and holy and set apart for him. There should be no practices of paganism in the place where we worship or where right ruling is to be made. You are the mobile, moving, remember, tabernacle. Don't allow paganism near your house. Don't give place to it. Don't learn the world's ways. So if we are the tabernacle of Yahweh, yes? So that means we must protect this sanctuary. That means we can't allow the things of the world to come in and infect. It's interesting, we were talking about movies, how Yahweh can speak through a movie. And it's amazing that if we're not careful, we'll be disobedient when Yahweh say, don't go, and we'll go. And what does he'll do? He'll speak to us right there and bring conviction in your heart saying, you know. I remember one day when I had an opportunity to go work at a jazz club or a garbage company. So common sense was, I'm going to the jazz club. Maybe that was in my laziness. So as I was going to this place, I'm driving down the road and I'm excited, I'm going to sing some jazz. And I'm thinking, and all of a sudden the Lord says to me, but will it give honor to me? And I'm like, yeah, I can give honor to you here. And all of a sudden, something inside of me rose up and it said, but Father, I know what you're saying. So I turned around and I went to this garbage company and I began to work at 4 a.m. in the morning. And I remember being out there schlepping this garbage and going through all this, guy saying, God, you said you were going to use me, but it sure don't look like you're using me now. And he says to me, Jimmie, like you're dumping this garbage, I'm dumping this stuff out of your life. And I'm making a man that I can use. Isn't this portion about shoftim, judgment? Remember I said we have to be able to judge who first? Us. James 3:11 says, does a spring pour forth from the same opening both fresh and salt water? Can a fig tree, my brothers, bear olives, or a grapevine produce figs? Neither can a salt pond yield fresh water. So what he's saying is you can't have two masters. You can't have blessing and cursing out of the same mouth. That ought not to be, is what he said. So when you begin to judge, you have to begin to say, okay, Lord, examine my heart. Am I where you're asking me to be? Because even today, I still sit here and I go, Lord, Am I where I'm supposed to be? Am I doing what you've called me to do? Have I removed the idols from inside? You know, those secret things that lie buried, that we will always say, no, we don't have. But the truth is, when we look in the mirror, we see it every day. And Yahweh's saying, give this to me. This is what I want. That which profanes the temple. Number 6, and do not set up a pillar which Yahweh your Elohim hates. It's not about building our kingdom, but his kingdom. What is this pillar? I want to be seen. I want to be heard. I want it to be about me. And if it's about I, it's not about him. Come on. Stop trying to build your ministry. Build his kingdom his way. Amen. Psalms 127:1. If Yahweh does not build the house, its builder have labored what? In vain. If Yahweh does not guard the city, the watchman has stayed awake, what? In vain. So if we're not allowing Yahweh to continue to shine his light on us to build this kingdom, and what is this kingdom? This mobile, moving tabernacle. I'm going to say it again, and I want you to understand this, because you are a mobile, moving tabernacle that houses the glory of Yahweh. And so when you go out of this place, we bring life or we bring judgment to the people we meet. Why? Because they have a choice. They can receive us and receive life, receive correction that's first been done in us. Come on, right? So when Yahweh brings correction to us, now he's doing that when he's teaching you to overcome a situation. For what purpose? So that you can help others be set free. Not for ourselves. It's not about us hoarding this thing, but it's about his kingdom. Deuteronomy 17:1 says, you shall not sacrifice to the Lord your God an ox or a sheep in which is a blemish, any defect, wherever, for that is an abomination to the Lord your God. Now let me share this with you. Number 1, don't be a blemished sacrifice. This is heavy. We are the blemished sacrifice. We can't come to Yahweh except through Yeshua, the unblemished and perfect replacement. We got to get this. Torah is not salvation. I'll say it again. Torah is not salvation. There's only one way to Yahweh, and that is through Yeshua. So believe it or not, I heard a guy say this morning on the news and on the radio, and he said this thing about how, we got salvation through Yeshua, but the Jews got salvation through the Torah. And I'm like, wait a minute, that's absolute nonsense. They had to believe that the Messiah was coming. We had to believe what? That he came. And all of it was about through Yeshua. There was no other way to Yahweh except through Yeshua. So he gives us the Torah for what purpose? The Torah is our boundaries. It teaches us how to stay in life, how to not stay in death. It teaches us how to keep the covenants of Yahweh. It teaches us what sin is to our righteous judge. John 14:16, Yeshua said to him, I am the way and the truth and the life. No one comes to the Father except through him. Deuteronomy 17:14-20, the rules of the appointed king. It is a picture of Yeshua in us. Amen. Number 1, he must not be from the world. In this passage, it talks about setting up, it talks about how Israel, now you got to catch this, had got their land, and around them were the nations, and because the lust of the flesh, the lust of the eyes, and the pride of life, they wanted a king like the nations had. How many times have we done that? Wanted something that Yahweh said, no, you don't need, I'm everything, but we go, yeah, I know that you're everything, but I got to have something physical, Lord. How about the golden calf syndrome? Same thing, remember? They were building this thing. They said it was for Yahweh. They were building this calf for Yahweh to worship him, and he had already said, this is not my way. So again, he tells us, don't learn the ways of the Egyptians. Why? Because I don't want you bringing that profane thing into this tabernacle. Remember, I said this tabernacle was created for one purpose. What was the purpose? To worship Yahweh. So when this tabernacle don't do what it was created to do, this tabernacle will begin to vomit out its inhabitants. It will say, you know what, guys, I love you, but I'll let cancer come in and I'll let disease come in, because at least I know when you're gone, I'll be back to doing what I was created to do, worship the King. Come on. Amen. Do you get that? Amen. There are two natures that are warring inside of us. the nature that wants to serve Yahweh with all of our hearts, with all of our soul? How many times have you said, Yahweh, I will give you everything? And then after you said that, right before you walked out the door, before you got in your car, he goes, hey, can I have it now? And you go, well, wait a minute. I was just joking. I didn't mean that. And all of a sudden, the tests began. I remember saying, Yahweh, I love you, and I'm willing to serve you. And all of a sudden, when he started bringing tests, the first thing I did, I started rebuking him, because it can't be Yahweh that did that. Yahweh wouldn't dare bring this in my life, not understanding it was my own disobedience. The first thing, he said, he must not be from the world, a worldly leader, or a follower of the way of the world. 1 John 2:16, for all that is in the world, the desires of the flesh and the desires of the eyes and the pride of life is not from the Father, but is from where? The world. Didn't Peter say that we are priests and kings? See, you got to see this. Because you're not just any old body that's sitting in a building, but no, Yahweh has called you to be a king. And what are you proclaiming? His kingdom. And why? Because he is ruling through you. So now his kingdom can be brought out through the earth.